It's me. Very wonderful. Hi, ladies. It's Coach Diana and Coach Elise here tonight with you all. We're going to be talking about letting go with grace, embracing God's forgiveness and his healing. And letting go is going to be the big part of the topic tonight. And Diana and I have spent a lot of time just talking about it, what we might bring tonight as a help for you all. And we really want to just invite you into discussion. So if you're here, please let us know that you're here. We always enjoy that and where you're from, and we'd love to say hello. But we want to really get started. And Dinah, maybe you may be a little better at this than I am, as sometimes in the introduction, is that remembering that this is a public Facebook.
Yeah.
And so what you say is out there for the public. Be careful, and just keep in mind. And we're going to ask maybe even some personal questions. And so
All right.
you're welcome to be as cryptic as you want to be, and so that you can just put initials or put a 1 or put a Y for yes or an N for no, and
Mhm.
so that you don't really maybe overshare too much information. But if you are free to do that, please let us know, because we would love to engage in the conversation with you tonight about letting go. And as we talk about it, Diana, I think one of the things that we really thought we might really start off with tonight is kind of defining
We
letting
should.
go. What does that look like? And so go ahead. You want to start that? Yeah.
Well, I just want you to know we're not live on Instagram.
Oh,
I may need to leave us for a minute and fix that if I can, but I will talk real
okay.
quickly about defining letting go.
All right.
So when we think about letting go, ladies, what comes to your mind in terms of, for me, it is just releasing those things that we no longer wish to hold.
Mm-hmm.
Those things that we no longer can control or
Mm-hmm.
have agency over.
Mm-hmm.
For me, when I describe letting go, Elise, I
Yeah.
talk about just, for me, what it just symbolizes is the exhale of the breath. And I
Mm-hmm.
just visualize when I want to let go of something, I'm choosing to let it go. I'm just exhaling and
Mm-hmm.
I just use the visual of sending it off with the breath or
Mm-hmm.
just pushing it away with the cloud. It's just my whole internal self saying, I'm done with this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready to let go. And I think when we're letting go of those things that we're choosing to let go of, we're making space for things that we can invite to our lives.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And I wonder what we are missing sometimes when we don't let go of those things. You are welcome to step into, whoops, it's me all by myself. Wonderful. Welcome to step into that. I will say, Dinah, real quick, technical wise, there I see a check by Instagram on our screen. So if that's helpful for you, if not, come back and join us. So when we're talking about letting go, I love what Diana said, that she was really just this kind of this release. And sometimes in so many ways, we can do that in, certainly in small ways. Our child's going to be disruptive and oh, we get all tense about it. We likely can let go. We're also going to talk about, kind of this range of letting go from small things to big things. And so what I would love for you to do though, is really engage with me. And I'm going to look over here at the chat and see, hey, you're back. Welcome.
I just did. I think we should be live now. It looks like
Okay.
we're live.
Okay, wonderful. But what I'd love to you all kind of help us with the, in the chat, engage with us. What is it that we are, what is it that we're going to let go of? Or excuse me, let me pause right there. What's your definition of letting go? I think Diana sounded like it was a sense of freedom for her. Like,
Yeah.
take this deep breath and then exhale and let go. Sometimes it could be giving up. Like, I just got to let go. I'm just going to surrender. I'm going to give up. What is your definition of letting go? I'd love to hear from you all.
I like
Maybe
the
it's
word I
leaving
like
it
the word
behind,
release, you
release,
know? Yeah,
right?
releasing some things. Often when I'm working with other people and I'm doing some somatic work, what I'll suggest is if you're holding on to something that's no longer working for you, you might just want to release it and just imagine laying it at the foot of the cross.
Mm,
And so I don't know why, I just have a lot of visuals about what it feels like to let go.
mhm.
Um, Probably not a proper definition, but that's just how I operationalize it.
That's really awesome. It really is, Diana. I just letting go though can be hard. I mean, sometimes we can, we can't find something, we're just gonna have to let it go and race onto the car, or, there's a lot of small things that we can let go. And sometimes we really have a really hard time letting go of those things. And then sometimes letting go can be really, really big. It could
Mm.
mean our marriage, or it can mean a wayward child, or it can mean, and that doesn't mean we just, oh, we let this wayward child go. It means that we release that, we don't have control over something. And so maybe, sometimes letting go, I love how Lorraine said surrender.
Yeah.
We really do, like you said, at putting it at the foot of the cross, that I am powerless in this situation. I would love for it to look different, but I surrender it and I'm going to let it go. Right. Um,
So I wonder, Elise, and
mhm,
I'd like to ask this question if it's all right with you. How
mhm.
many of you, when you saw the topic today, came to our call today with something on your mind that you knew or you were aware of that you wanted to let go of?
Mhm,
If that's you, put a 1 either in the chat or in the comment section so we know that
mhm.
you're thinking you have something on your mind that you're already processing wanting to let go of.
Yeah, yeah. As we do that, this letting go definition, letting go of expectations, accepting reality. Yes, giving it to God, surrender. I had to
Mm,
let go of my adult children. I can't control their lives.
yeah.
It's hard. It's hard to. Let's see. It is
We
hard to not
we've
think
gotta
letting go. It feels like giving up. Yeah,
yeah.
for sure. And sometimes there is some level of, I think, surrender and giving up sometimes. But sometimes it is the posture in which we do that, right? Sometimes giving up can feel so defeating. We feel bad about ourselves that we gave up, and sometimes we say, you know what? It is not mine to own anymore. I can't control the outcome of this. I don't even have any influence over the outcome. And so, what would my life look like if I was able to give it up? And so,
Yeah, I actually my topic last week was letting go versus giving up. What's the
right,
difference?
yeah,
So we talked a little bit about caving in, meaning giving up, versus letting go is just releasing.
right.
Um, I have a look at Elise. We have a whole host of people that are here that are saying they came to the topic today with something on their mind that they wanted to let go of.
Mm.
And so, should we
Yeah,
ask what
hard
that
story,
might be? Should we ask what that might be? I'm curious if you're comfortable
right?
putting it in the comments. What
Right,
what is it maybe in one word that
right,
you're wanting to let go of?
right.
And maybe it's an idea, a thought, maybe it's a habit, or a relationship, or a hope in something that just doesn't seem likely that it's going to occur. And
Mm,
maybe you've been walking on the treadmill with that. Maybe, yeah, maybe it's letting go of blaming yourself
ooh,
or, yeah, or taking responsibility where it's not your responsibility to take. I don't know, but I'm curious.
right. Yeah, put it in the feed, ladies, for us. Just we'd love to kind of see and be with you as we talk about this. We know that that's
Mm.
hard. I have an MRI tomorrow and I have so many negative thoughts around it. I'm exhausted.
Oh, that's so hard. I mean, letting go of future worry, right? I mean, it's okay to have current concern.
Yeah.
But
Right.
I don't know about you, but current concern feels very different to me than future worry.
Okay. Say
So
more.
well, current concern is, I have an MRI tomorrow. I'm wondering what the results could be. For me, like I can rein in my thoughts with that. But, I have to have an MRI tomorrow. What could that mean? What could be down the road? Oh my gosh, it could be this, it could be that. So, future worry versus current concern. Like
Right.
future worry for me can just spin me
Yeah, sure.
uh,
That's
in the
all.
direction of possibilities. And
Right.
I always like to say, um, yeah, it's important for us to work on reining our thoughts in, right? And letting go of what the outcome might be until we know what it is.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
The future thought that my marriage would be, yeah, Sherry, right. Low self esteem, letting go of what other people think of me. That's a hard
That's a good one.
That's a really good one, yeah. I'm working
Yeah.
on my thoughts of stopping self-condemnation. Thanks, Lori. Beating myself up, yeah. I coulda, shoulda, woulda. I should have known better, right? All that condemnation, how come I didn't know? I went left instead of right.
Yeah.
Hope of a relationship, a business possibility, everything, like that T. Howard, that I planned, right? And I think God certainly gives us the ability to plan and gives us wisdom to continue to plan that out, but boy, is it easy to kind of take that out of like charge on and march on, and then all of a sudden we find ourselves like, what does it mean to let go of this? I don't think this is going to work as I had thought, right? How about
Mm.
current curiosity? Yes, I'm in future worry. Thanks, Matt, for that resonated with her, Diana. I'm in future
I
worry.
Yeah, I didn't
I think that's
understand.
one of the things about letting go is if we can really kind of recognize our thoughts. I love that, Diana. Like, am I way out and like, what will happen if, and what will happen if, and if
Yeah.
only, and right? We're so projecting on the future, and we're not, as Matthew 6:34 says, don't borrow troubles from tomorrow because tomorrow has enough of its own. And so Diana's kind of thought in her thought processing was to stay in the moment. I have a concern
Well,
about the MRI tomorrow.
and sometimes the future worry for me, sometimes when you're so caught up in worry and anxiety,
Mhm.
maybe you're not even aware of your thoughts. You just really feel it in your body. And
For
so
sure.
sometimes it's not just working with my thoughts. Sometimes it's working with my body. Like my body needs to release the physical anxiety I'm carrying. So I might get myself into the next room and do some working out, like some physical exercise,
Right.
just so that I can take that breath and do that exhale and be in a different mind space and physical space with my body. Yeah, I mean, we do carry a lot, don't we, ladies?
Sure
I
do.
mean, we hold a lot, and I think, the scriptures are pretty clear about, what we are meant to carry and what we are not to carry.
Right.
And
Mary
yeah.
Mary said she's trying to change, somebody else's mind to fix it and stop, their thoughts when they smear campaign. Yeah.
Mm,
Letting go of toxic friendships. So Diana, many of these ones are coming in. This is what they're telling us.
mhm.
That when they came into this session tonight, yeah, they were carrying some stuff they need to let go, or they'd like to consider letting go, or they're holding on. And so
Well,
letting go of toxic friendships, when we ask them, what is it?
let me just speak to this one thing here.
Okay. All right.
I have a couple questions. One from Rhonda is saying, "How about current curiosity?" I'm wondering if you would say more about that. I'm not sure what you mean by that, but it sounds so interesting.
Yeah.
And I wanted to say something about future worry. I didn't read the whole book. I got halfway through, but I got some gems from it. And it was a book called The Shack.
Mhm.
And I remember at one point where he meets the person who was personifying the Holy Spirit. And as the Holy Spirit is speaking to him, she's personified as a she in the book. She says to him, "Where do you dwell?" And he says, I don't remember what he answered her, but she said, "Yes, you dwell in the past with regret or in the future with worry. I exist in the here and now." And that was so powerful for me, to think about if I want to stay in peace,
Mhm.
um, and if I want to really be able to just carry what God is giving me to carry
Right.
and letting go of all those other things, that it's right here and now.
Right.
And for me, it's limiting those projections on what might occur. And when we talk about letting go, I
Mhm.
think one of the things that many of our audience carries are regrets. Regrets, blame. Wishes that I would have gotten it right, doing it differently. And I've been reading through the Old Testament lately, and man, there's a whole host of people who didn't get it right, and God, I mean, their story still went on, right? So we're in a good host of
Right.
individuals.
Right. We are. I'm not. I hope that I certainly won't be in the canon of scripture, but I hope that God doesn't. My mess up stories don't carry out as far as an eternity as He has allowed those in
Yeah.
scripture for us to learn from. But yes, it's easy to focus on the regret. It sure is.
Yeah.
And so one of the things we want to kind of think about it, is that when we dwell on that regret, kind of what are we telling ourselves about it? And is it possible that we can really release some of it as we really talk about this healing piece a little bit? Is that we step into this self-acceptance that I am a limited human being, right? And that it's not even possible for me to make every right decision. We would never advocate for impulsiveness or willy-nilly decisions of I'm just gonna let it go. Right, but that we let go with wisdom, and we let go with prayer, we let go with
Yeah.
discernment, and we let go oftentimes with even with fear in our heart, but we say it is yours, it is yours, it does not belong to me. And sometimes we don't make right decisions. I don't think there's anyone that gets to adulthood that says, "Oh, I wish I would have, gone right then left."
Right.
But we can make decisions right. A lot of decisions, we can make right. And so,
Right.
does that mean going to someone and asking for forgiveness? Does that mean saying, "You know what? I can't do
Mhm.
this any longer. I need to do this. I need to make this right." Does it mean I won't accept that any longer? I need to do something different, right? And I may regret that I've taken it as long as I have, but I'm willing to do something different going forward, right? And so again, sometimes we make right decisions and sometimes we just have to make decisions right. And so I think the letting go process may give us some freedom with that thought that we are not going to get it right every time. We do want to get it right. And so oftentimes I think that that's what does keep us stuck, is that we are so desperate to get it right. And kind of what you were talking about earlier, Diana, this future worry, right? Is that we're so worried about, will our children be okay? They won't be if they're in a divorced
About so
home,
many
or will
things.
this turn out right, or will that turn out right? We
Right.
cannot know. But I think one of the things, if you're kind of with us for very long, is that, oh gosh, my mind just went blank.
What were you gonna say,
I
Elise? I'm
don't
curious.
know,
I'm
about it's
curious.
really about decision making, right? Is that I'm just going to go back to that we can make decisions right, and that we just simply cannot know it all. And that we're limited human beings. And if it comes back around, I'll share it with y'all. It just went, this is why I kind of keep the hair blonde. I thought once I was talking, and it just went right out of my head. But anyway, we'll call it a senior moment or a blonde moment. So anyway, but we'll come back around to it. And um, but capturing those thoughts, replacing them with promises of God. Yes, it gives us beauty for ashes. Thank you, Sherry. Yeah,
Well,
enjoyed
you
it.
know, I think the truth of the matter is, we can be terribly hard on ourselves,
Hmm.
and if I could be frank, I
Hmm.
think many of us have been in relationships with people who aren't hard on themselves at all. In fact, they think too much of themselves,
Right.
right? Hen Hence the
Yeah.
topic, embracing God's forgiveness and
Right.
healing. Like, we
Right.
have to embrace forgiveness for our flaws, but we also have we're trying to embrace forgiveness for all those people who bring the need for us to be on our knees, right? I mean,
Hmm.
but I think that my point is that we are, we are beautiful and wonderful, and we are also horribly, broken and flawed.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so really getting this balance on who we are and how we are. I think, we
Right.
talk about letting go with grace, and I think about, the title here, Elise, and I think about what does it look like to give grace to ourselves
Right.
for how we've struggled
Right.
and how we've really embraced, maybe the trials.
Hmm.
I mean, even the effort.
Hmm.
And so my question is, like, when you're sitting before the Lord, or when you come here tonight to talk with us about this topic and you're on your knees, what is it that you really feel like God is telling you to let go of?
Right.
And what is it that you are to embrace instead on your path toward, forgiveness and healing? And that's different for all of us. And I think
Right.
if you could maybe sit down and make a list of just the individuals that come to mind, and God would show you where you need to have more forgiveness
Hmm.
and grace, but also maybe that is in conjunction with letting go.
Mhm.
Maybe I can apply forgiveness and grace toward this person, and grace for myself for not doing it differently, right? Or forgiveness for myself, but letting go of the need to keep trying.
Right.
Really
That
kind of
mhm.
yeah, go ahead.
Well, I mean, you use that word, the need to keep trying. And so there's something and we've really kind of addressed this tonight, but this kind of, we were talking earlier, this burn in my belly, so to speak, when James 4 says, what causes quarrels and fights among you is the desires of your heart. What is it is the tension that you want, the dream that you want, the hope that you want, the vision that you had, that you feel like I can't be okay unless I get it? And I wanna ask, is that true? Right?
Yeah.
And so we kind of get into this need want tension. We feel like the truth is, I think that we want it. We would want children to be well. We would want a spouse to be well. We don't want people sick. And even if they've choiced themselves into sickness, either, with drugs or alcohol or bad choices, right? We want someone well. But at what point do we need to say that belongs to them? And what
Yeah.
belongs to me, is to let go. And what will that mean for me if I let go? What does that really look like? If do I let go of this spouse? Do I say, you know what? Drink all you want.
Mm.
I can't control it. Right? That's a hard thing, but we can't control it, right? And so at some point, you may say, if it means that I let go of this and I stop fussing, I stop begging, I stop pleading, right? I stop threatening, and I really let go. If you want to drink, you're going to drink. But what will that mean for me? And sometimes we don't want to face that decision in the process of letting go. Or we've thought about it, but boy, that sounds really bad. Like, I'm going to give up and I'm just going to let him drink all he wants to drink. You know what happens when he drinks? Right. So I think we do have to ask that question. What does that mean for me if I let go? I don't think we have to answer that in the text, but I want you ladies to really think about that. What would that
Well,
look like, and can I let go? So go.
yeah. Well, I think in order to really know where we need to let go and how we need to let go, we need to have a strong sense of ourself, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely.
And and with that, I mean a strong sense of, I don't know, who I am
Of course.
and
What I believe.
yeah,
Do I know my thoughts? Do I know my values? Do I know my beliefs? Right? Yeah.
do I know my boundaries? You know what I mean? Or have I just lived in a way where I don't have boundaries for myself,
Mhm.
for care of myself,
Mhm.
but and I lack boundaries when it comes to giving myself to others,
Mm.
to working on healing them or their issues.
Right.
Or maybe, I've recently have worked with several individuals that may possibly need to let go of the need to take on way more than
Mhm.
what they're meant to in
Mhm.
their work lives.
Mhm.
You know, they're
Mhm.
burned out, tired,
Mhm.
and they don't have appropriate boundaries for what really is within their job description or their role or what their capacity is.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk to the chat just a little bit, you know.
Okay.
Um, yeah, Joy Pen, Betsy says she wants to start getting better at being gentle with herself. And I think she can even hear it in your voice, Diana, as you talk with her gently, talk with all of our ladies that are present, so gently. Anne says, I would like my husband to care and love me as his wife, and not what I do, or not for me being me, what God called me to be. Critical and unhealthy, demeaning behavior is nonstop. Okay, if it's his behavior pattern, what will that mean, Anne, for you to let go of wanting him to love and care for you? I don't think that that's an unrealistic, and for many of you, I think what that burn in your belly is, the desire of your heart is not a bad thing. I want you to love me. You said you would love me. You said you would cherish me. You said you would honor me, and I believed you. But this
Mm.
behavior is the antithesis of our covenant relationship, right? And so what do I do with that? Right? What does that mean for me if you don't want to love me?
I would let go of what I do for him, and I would show him what it looks like. I'm
Yeah,
sorry, ladies, I'm just being frank here. I
yeah,
I mean, seriously, I mean, you sound so tender and loving, right?
yeah,
And just wanting to do and to serve and hoping to be loved. I mean, I don't know. I might just start taking care of me, you know what I mean? And not that I would be unkind, not
right,
that I would be unloving, but I
right,
might just say, "Okay, you're not appreciating me. There are other people in my life who I
mhm,
can give my love and care to
right,
who, I mean, I wouldn't repay evil for evil, but for crying
right,
out loud, I don't know that I would s I don't
right,
I wouldn't submit to that. I would let go
right. Well, that you
of
don't submit to that anyway. That's not what we're called to do. We don't
no.
submit to harm and evil, right? We submit to love.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm choosing to let go of your demeaning behavior, and therefore,
there we go.
I'm letting go of being around you quite a bit.
Right, I'm gonna let go. Yeah, absolutely. And we ladies, we say this in some level of jest, but we hear it every day. The really the destructiveness that you all face over and over again. And so what does it mean? Not, I mean, I know all of you would love to go like, I'm gonna let go of that, right? But then it feels unloving. Like, if I don't really do for him, or I don't care for him, or I'm not submissive, now I feel unloving. But I would like to ask you, is that true? Right? Maybe the
Well,
most loving thing we can do is say, I have, you don't even have to say this out loud, but I have healthier boundaries. I have a greater esteem for myself that God has
oh,
given,
well.
right? I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. I am precious in his sight.
Well, you're letting go of being of allowing someone else to be destructive toward you.
Yes.
And you can do that. It's
Right?
not unkind, but you can do that while walking in forgiveness of what they've done for you. And the way we do that is not repay evil for evil, but
Right.
walk in love and kindness. But make no mind, I'm going to treat you with love and kindness, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to be a vessel, I
Right.
don't know, for your abuse. I'm just not going to do it.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Diana, I think that that really brings us around to kind of this core strength that we're really inviting ladies to join, is that do you have enough internal fortitude, core strength to
Well,
be able to say, I must do right, the right
right.
thing for me because I am a precious vessel created for this time in this generation. And that doesn't mean, that we're not talking about selfishness or self-centeredness. We're really talking about self-care and a strong sense of self. So
You
that
use
I
the term internal strength. I
internal
love that term. Yeah.
right, internal strength, absolutely. And
Mhm.
so that that I can begin to think, thoughtfully and wisely about what do I need to do when someone else's behavior is destructive or abusive,
Right.
right? I don't have to shrivel up. I have a lot of choices. Right, and so, ladies,
Well,
if you really at that place where you're kinda like, "Ooh, I just don't have the internal strength to do that," we
mhm.
really do want you to come join us because I think
Well,
letting go has this wide range, but so oftentimes, certainly what, Diana and I and Leslie and all the coaches here all the time is the years that people have allowed and said and not said no more, right? And we're not saying divorce, we're not saying we're just saying what would it mean to let go and say, you are going to be you, and I'm going to let that go.
yeah.
I will need to figure out me because that's what belongs to me,
Mhm.
right? And so,
So we are talking about a concept that we have been walking with Leslie in for many years now because we're two of her oldest coaches in so
In many
many ways,
ways.
right? Literally and yeah.
Literally,
Okay.
the time with her and literally.
Yeah, we won't tell you which was
We're
the
the
older
crown
out of the 2 of
jewels.
us, right? Yeah, we're seasoned. We're seasoned. Okay.
We are seasoned.
So, but
Mhm.
yeah, this core principle, and I have a dear friend that I've met through Leslie, and she and I were chatting, and she is a professor as well, and she has spoken to me about how core strength has made such an impact in her life, in her relationships, and when we talk about that, it's one thing to talk about what it is, but we have the pleasure of working with the concept, but you and I are growing in it as well, even as we teach and we coach on it. But it is a strength
Mhm.
that grounds you really in who God's intended you to be.
Absolutely.
And to understand and to know the concept is one thing, but to know how to apply it and to walk it out in strength and truth
Right,
takes support, it takes community, and it takes coaching and
right,
accountability, right? Because
right,
we're accountable to one another.
right,
So I think for those of you that are watching or will watch later, we want to invite you to that process. We still have the doors open for at least a week or so,
right.
and we have some limited spots left.
Mhm.
Um, and so
Yeah,
we want, well, it's just a joy for us to walk with each one of you in learning how to live in core strength and watching the transformation. That's the biggest thing. So I
right.
want to ask a question, if it's all right with you,
Yeah,
Elise.
yeah, for sure.
How will achieving core strength and letting go enable you to be in a different place in your life?
Mm.
When you think about, I don't know, I'm putting you on the spot, Elise, but how does that?
Say it one more time, 'cause, I would love for the
How
ladies to hear.
does how does how does the concept of walking in core strength and learning to let go,
Mhm,
how does that show itself in your life?
mhm. Yeah, that's a great question. That's a really great question. I'm gonna speak and then say that, and then I would love for, the our audience to answer that as well. And really, really many, many different ways. I think that it's a gift really to develop. It's a gift that when you know yourself and you know who God created you to be, and you
Yeah,
delight in that. And I believe that you and I both feel like we were called into this. You at a much, much younger age than me, but that was part of, right. I had to let go of some things to
yeah,
return back to school, to graduate school at a more mature age, right? Had to let go of so many things and also believe that I could be used. I mean, I was in my 40s. I wasn't like an old woman, but I was not a
mhm,
co-ed, just a young woman. But I think that throughout my life of really, it's so funny. I was thinking of this earlier today, not just this exact question, but I was thinking, kind of, what are some things that I really know that my own intestinal fortitude that God gave me and that I have utilized. Where has it shown up? And this story came to my mind about when I was a senior in high school. My parents moved to a home, outside. We had lived not in the city, but in a little bit more, in the city, and they bought a home out in the suburbs, and it was a really beautiful home. I was excited for my parents to get it, and all of a sudden, but it was 45 minutes from our home in town. And so I was like, oh, it's so wonderful. And, the town was pretty that they were moving to and everything. And all of a sudden, I was really alone. I was like, oh, that's what this means. It's like, we're in this, nice new home, but I have no friends at all. And so I'm not feeling great because I don't really have any friends and I want my friends and I actually just want to move back in town. but that's not going to happen. And I remember just after a while, I got this new friend, and I was so excited to have a new friend. And she was a lot of fun. We did some stuff together, and we were having a lot of fun until one day she tells me that somebody that she got mad at, that she damaged their car with her key. And I remember like, oh my goodness. And I remember at that point saying, I cannot be friends with her. I didn't tell her that. I was too chicken to tell her that. I didn't know what she would do to me. Right. But that got revealed to me. Who she was got revealed to me. And I realized I can't be in
Mhm.
friendship with her.
Yeah.
And I don't think if I had enough, inner strength, even as, an, a teenager at that time to say, that's not good for me, that could have been a really destructive relationships. Now, I haven't made all the right choices, in life and friendships
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff, but that really stuck out for me in a really big way. And also, I was in a very serious relationship, actually an engagement. My colleague called me the runaway bride in my 20s. But I mean, each time there was just some tension in my belly that says this isn't the right choice. And I don't know why I listened to it. And I, mustered up enough courage to say, to break it off. And, thanks be to God I did. But there was some internal strength that walking in core strength that I embraced. I have to be honest, I have a really, really strong mom. And she's passed away now. But she was like a girl, you don't want to be doing that. And I believed her. And so she helped develop in her wisdom and, God's grace, some inner strength. But ladies, whatever your life has been, I just gave two examples, of where, I really had let it go. I had to let this friendship go. I had to let relationships go that I wanted to be a part of, right? And so, but it took something greater than my fear, right, to let go. And one is I believe it was a relationship with the Lord. And then two, support. My mom supported me. My dad supported me in that, but some community was support. As I shared this story with, some other people that I worked with, they're like, oh gosh, learn from that girl, right? And so that's kind of what we're inviting you into a little bit with Core Strength is that this community of people that can support you where you need to make some hard decisions. Like I think most
Yeah.
of you walk away from a bad girlfriend now without any problem. But, what is it going to take for you to say no to difficult relationships or no to even friendships, right? Or no
Well,
to,
or
to
to walk in who you're meant to be, right? I mean,
100%.
I'm still working heavily on the C and the O for crying out loud. I'm serious. I mean, there are so many ways in which we don't speak truth even to ourselves and we pretend. Like
Mhm,
my goal is to walk in authenticity. You know
mhm.
what I mean? And
Yeah,
I am challenged all the time with that. And I think that what's interesting and valuable for me is having the experience of having friends and even doing the group coaching because we all learn from one
right,
another
right,
and there are things that I don't think of that you may.
right.
And, and I love that story. It's not the first time I've heard it. You shared that story with me about that friend. And, it tells me that you have some commitment to
Yeah,
who you want your internal self to be. And it speaks really loudly to your values. When do we ever get a chance, really, to break free from life and to sit down and to work on these deeper internal things
right,
that comprise who we are, our character, our heart, our mind? We're talking about the essence of what the Bible says about what drives us. And
right.
we're inviting the Holy Spirit into that place to
Amen.
really reveal these things to us in the context of community. And I
Mhm.
don't know about you, Elise, but I feel like our ladies are just such a blessing because they're so genuine and
They
honest and
are.
they're so eager to learn. And I don't know about you guys, but I've been in a lot of churches. I don't I don't always find people that authentic and open, transparent, and honest.
Right.
And so I love our community.
I do.
Yeah, it's a unique place. And I'm just grateful that you ladies are here. You
Right,
are a gift to one another and to us as well.
right.
And yeah, so if you've not done, and here's a question
Okay.
for those of you out there who, some of you are already in Conquer, hoping that and some of you are new,
Hmm.
um, but I'm wondering if you've not done a walking and core strength group coaching with us. I'm wondering why not. What would prevent you from stepping in and taking the time to really just do some deep transformational work on yourself? Just we're curious about that because we want to know, so that we can offer you um, things that will be helpful for you.
Hmm.
And we want to know how we can help you grow moving forward. Like what would make the difference for you,
Right.
right?
Right. Yeah.
I do this kind of work for people a lot. I have to commit to myself. Um,
Hmm.
I have to commit to myself to doing my own work because I do people work for a living.
Hmm.
So I have to put it in my calendar and I have to budget for it as well, you know? And my husband, who will ask me, he's like, how much you paying for that training? And I'm like, you know,
Yeah.
I don't answer the question. I just say it's necessary.
Right. Right. Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah,
it is. It is. And Diana, you are
yeah,
a trainer. I mean, just I love that. Um, yeah. And so Karen, who is kind of behind the scenes for us tonight, if
yes.
you would put in there, kind of it's a 3-month commitment. I'm embarrassed to say I'm not sure of the price. I don't want to miss.
I have it written in my notes.
Yeah. I want to.
Do we put the wait, if you go to the link, it will show you the price.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's you ca I think we have monthly installments as
Mm.
well,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
One of the things.
No, I don't think that's correct, Kristen.
What did she
I
say?
don't She said 7 9 that I'm not sure that's correct. I could be wrong.
That's what I was going to say. Either that or 8.97.
You did?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, it's one of the two of those. Yeah.
We don't do that in ladies. We just do the coaching. We don't do the back end stuff.
Kristen
Who
said that's
would
what she
know?
paid. So I think Kristen does know. Thank you, Kristen. We appreciate that. Right. Yeah. So, yeah, you want us clearly not behind the books.
Yeah,
But
you don't want us doing the
do,
financial stuff.
right.
You really don't.
Leave that for, different
Mhm.
part of the business for us, but we do the
Right.
coaching piece and we love doing the coaching piece. So, but it is a 3-month commitment. We'll have 6 sessions. It meets every other week. I do know that piece. And it is a great, great, great course. I loved it. And I think so many times the women even at the end of 6 weeks, they're like, can we be in this,
Oh,
because they really found a place where they got to be transparent, where they got to be authentic, where they
yeah.
got to be known and know others. And that was it's been really super precious. And so we want to invite you towards that. We have time. Do you have the question tracker up? We really
I
haven't answered
do. There was a
questions.
question I wanted to answer in the chat. I don't know if it's in the question
Yeah,
tracker, but I did see
right.
it. And
And if you have, we're going to answer 1 or 2 questions. That's all. But if you have a question tonight concerning letting go, we really want to stay with the topic, but we're
mhm,
not going to do a big question and answer. We just wanted to converse with you all tonight about letting go. We know that that's a struggle for all of us. We never know when it shows up that we're going to have to really be faced with it. And
right.
so really, really, thank you for joining us tonight so much. But if you have a question about letting go, you can either put it in the feed here in the chat, or how do they ask? I'm
I
so
got
sorry.
I gotcha. I
I don't
gotcha.
pay attention to stuff. Honestly, I pay a lot of attention to a lot of stuff, but when it comes to these little details, I'm not always quite so tight. So let's just put it in the chat right here. Um,
Okay, or Karen will
Here it
put
is. Thank you, Karen. If
a link for
you
you.
have a
Yeah.
question, you may ask it anonymously
There you
by
go. So
using the following link,
here's a question.
lesliemartin.com/question/, and your question will, I do know how to do this
You
part, will
can
go
ask
directly to the coaches.
yeah.
So,
So, and then I wanna get to their comments because we did ask what their reasons for not joining were.
yeah.
And so this one is trauma therapy sometimes needed to break free. I don't fully understand the concept of trauma bonds, but it feels like a very real thing. And I just want to speak to that as it speaks to core and what we're talking about today.
Mhm.
Yeah. A trauma bond is a real thing, and it's a very, very stuck place to be. It comprises your mind and your body, um, in terms of not being able to think clearly or to make decisions. But what I want to speak to that is, is trauma therapy sometimes needed? That's really on an individual basis, and I would need way more information
Mhm.
for that. But I think regardless of whether or not you need trauma therapy, the first place to start is stability and clarity. And you want to develop your inner core strength because if you're in a trauma bond, you don't even know who you are,
Mhm.
right? And so that really is what we're inviting you to. So this isn't therapy, this is coaching. But if you wanna do some work, this is the work to do, and
Yes.
I'm not just saying this because
Right.
we want to because we're trying that we're offering opportunities, but it is the truth.
Yeah.
This is deep work.
Right.
This is transformational work.
Right.
Um, I am I am very proud to be a part of this organization because I don't do fluff. And
Mhm.
so if you're serious about transformational change
Mhm.
and trying to look at the deeper things that are keeping you stuck,
Mhm.
you're going to benefit from all the years of, training
Mhm.
and quite frankly, therapy
Mhm.
that many of us on staff have
Mhm.
done.
Mhm.
So, that's the first place to begin. The second place is if you're wondering about trauma bonds, you can read up on it, but I do believe that the process of coming out of it is right here, right now.
Yeah. Amen. I
Yeah.
would agree with you. Yeah. So Golden Rule Banner says, there can be grieving involved in letting go.
Mm,
And Golden Rule, I wanna absolutely, agree with you and hear you and just say, "Absolutely," and I think so oftentimes it is what holds us back. And so one of the things I want you all to think about is what is holding me back from letting go? And Goldenrod is just she's spot on that I
mm,
am avoiding the pain of the grief that will happen when I
yeah.
let and
Mm,
so, but, I think we have to ask, can I survive the grief? And I believe that you can,
mm,
right? Most of us have experienced some really challenging and tough grief in our life. And nobody's going to run towards it, that's for sure. And I think so oftentimes letting go is our way of or not letting go is our way of avoiding that. But if we can say, you know what, it is not necessarily going to feel like freedom, it may
yeah.
be great grief to let go. I lost someone, my marriage didn't turn out right. Financially it was a ruin, whatever it may be, our children aren't turning out well, whatever it may be. There's oftentimes a grief associated with it, which may mean a next step, right, for you that I'm willing to let it go, and
Mm,
I'm willing to, allow the Holy Spirit, the Comforter, to be with me as I let it go. And one of the things that you may be telling yourself, and I would ask, is this true? Is maybe you don't think that you'll be okay if you like, well, no, I'll just grieve forever that I lost what it was. And is that true? Right? Can I say, I'm going to let go of something that either doesn't belong to me or I can't control or I have no ability to make the outcome any different? And I'm going to grieve that loss. This is something I wanted greatly, and I'm willing to grieve the loss because I need freedom. It's not mine to hold on to any longer. So thank you for putting that in there. I think it's so good. Let's see. How to let go of the regret, not leaving earlier, not shielding my children better. How to forgive my 22-year-old self for ignoring the red flags. Well, for sure, I'd start there. Your 22-year-old self is likely a very immature self. And so oftentimes, you know a lot of information now. so much information, right? And those red flags,
Mm.
oftentimes weren't that bright of red, right? We were in
Mm.
love. We were, all the good stuff that comes with the bonding and being in love, and our brain, chemistry all does all fun things, and we get someone intoxicated, right? That's why we can say to people, "You don't know him like I know him," right? And we say silly stuff and do all kind of silly stuff. And so, one, give yourself grace, and then we've been talking about that tonight. Give yourself grace for your immaturity. Give yourself grace if you need to say, God, forgive me for if I knew better and didn't do better. But now I'm willing to do better. What will that mean? And also, really, we can't know what we don't know. And it's
Mm.
likely there was a red flag, but what did it attach itself to? Right? Maybe you spoke, poorly to somebody, or maybe he was drunk one night, or, right? We didn't know he was going to turn into an alcoholic. We didn't know that the way he spoke poorly to somebody, we didn't see it but once or twice, right? It was kind of an outlier. And so if it wasn't an outlier, you saw it and you should have done something. My hope is that you will step into God's forgiveness. Because in Romans 8, I think it's 8:1, he says, therefore, there is now no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. And so if we can embrace God's word and say, okay, that is not of the Lord, that's of the enemy. So I want to be able to step into, God, thank you that you covered my sin and my disobedience, and or you covered, my immaturity, and that you have forgiven me and that you love me
Mm.
so much. But
Yeah.
I can make that decision right now, and I'm going to heal from that decision. What do I need to do? Thanks, Sherry. That's a great question. Right. What would you say, Diane? Would you add to that?
No, I
No.
think you did a great job.
Okay. Um,
Um,
you
there's
want
a
to answer
question.
Mary's question? How to let go of trying to change their minds? Or,
There's a question on the question tracker that I'd like to address.
okay.
And the question is, do you think that being in E2C and being in core for 3 months at the same time is doable? I know they're both every other week. And so for 3 months, I will have something each week. What are your thoughts, Elise?
Mhm. Well, one, it's absolutely doable. Um, if you have the time and the resources, I think it's absolutely very doable. If you feel like you need further support, I would say please join us. And so, absolutely, this is a shortened, little more condensed version of really just getting that core strength, that inner strength. It's where we really, really focus. And E2C is, a deeper dive, a little more extended. And so, I don't think there's no harm, no foul in doing both of them. Absolutely, and it may be another support group that you need. And so, we invite you to join it. But it's up to you, and this is what we, kind of really need to embrace is that will this, you can't know on this side, but, kind of really asking yourself, do I have the resources, not only just the financial resources, but do I have the time resource, because it's similar in that it will have homework and videos to watch and,
Mhm.
groups to attend. And
Yeah.
so do I have all that resource? And if you do, we'd love to have you. So,
Yeah.
right.
The material is complementary.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's foundational. The core work is foundational work, and
Right.
E2C is a deeper dive.
Mhm.
The only thing that you would want to make sure is that you have the time to devote to the growth.
Mhm.
And many of our ladies will um, they'll take it a couple times, sometimes, and you really do learn, yeah, but you'll have access to the material forever, so you can always redo
Right.
it yourself. But there's
Yeah.
nothing like the group experience, to be honest.
Right.
Um, all right, I've got another one for you.
Sure. For you? I'm
This
just
is another letting go kind of
okay.
question. How
Okay.
to let how to let go of trying to change their minds about ourselves when they falsely accuse and smear campaign us. How
Mhm.
to stop the ruminating and not hold the pain inside us.
Mhm. Mhm. I saw that. Where was it? What how to let go of trying to change their minds. Well, so I think this is kind of that belonging answer, right? Their mind, their thoughts belong to them.
Mhm.
So when we think about boundaries, it's their thoughts, right? They don't even belong to me. right? And so I certainly would like to see if I could influence someone to think differently or make think more
Yeah.
congruently to me. But I think once once we really have a stronger sense of self, I don't even want people to. I want them to own their own thinking. I want them to own their own thoughts, their own beliefs, their own self. And then that gives me the freedom to know how close a relationship I need to be with somebody. Like if
Yeah.
that's the way you think and believe, I might can be in a relationship here, but I can't be in a relationship here, right? Or if that's the way you think, believe, and behave, like Diana is one of my dear friends, right? It's kind of like we're pretty close because we think and believe and move about in life fairly congruently. And so we enjoy each other's company. But when there's kind of a wide different thought or a wide different belief or a wide different value, it's incumbent upon us to say that belongs to you, doesn't belong to me. How will I manage me with your thoughts and feelings?
Yeah.
And at the end of it said something about smear campaign or something. Now it's gotten out of my out
Oh,
of my head.
yeah. Well, it's about
So
how to let go of trying to change someone's mind about how they think about
today, good
me,
tonight.
how to
Right.
stop them from falsely accusing and smearing me, which is
Yeah.
really out of our control.
Right.
And so then the question is how to let go of all of that ruminating and the pain that you hold from what is occurring.
Right.
And that's the tough piece.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and the ruminating is a choice. The ruminating happens because your mind plays this silly trick thinking that if I think about this and worry about this, I'm going to come to a conclusion or solve this.
Mhm.
And that's
Mm,
not the truth.
mhm.
So speaking truth to yourself,
Right. Right.
is the first thing, and then, ruminating it's a choice
Right.
to replace what you're listening to with talking to yourself differently,
Right.
and there's activity and distraction that you can use as well, but to stop your ruminating thoughts is really to calm your heart, your mind, and your body,
Mm.
and to choose what you're going to think about. And really, the process of exhaling and letting go of, I can't control what he's saying about me.
Right.
It's not my business what other people think of me. And then as you inhale, you just inhale God's truth.
Mhm.
And I cannot recall where I got this from, but it was from reading the scriptures that if all my ways please God, I think it's in Proverbs that he will make even my enemies to lie down with me.
Mhm.
So all I have to do is focus on walking rightly with him, and then it's his job to deal with my reputation. I can't do that. It's beyond my reach.
Right. Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
Mary, I know those are hard things when people are saying, hard words about you and their false accusations. Um, but I think when you begin to understand and believe that you have no control over that, I think you can certainly speak into that or, ask someone to stop, say that's
Yeah.
really hurtful, no doubt, but you have no ability to control what comes out of somebody's mouth, right?
Yeah.
So I love that what you said, Diana. I mean, it's just so true. I mean, if we could spend so much energy and so much time trying to figure out, like, if I could only get them to stop, right? And so we're going to invite you, Mary, to really think about letting that go and
Yeah.
surrendering that. And again, it doesn't mean that if someone says to you, "Gosh, Mary, I heard blah blah blah," you can say, "Unfortunately, that's not true." And so I'm
Right.
so glad that you would bring that up to me, but that is just simply not true. Um, and here's what's truth, right? And so maybe you get an opportunity to speak truth into some places that haven't been true. Ladies, we're really at time. Are you good, Diana?
I am,
Yeah.
and I'm just, wanna thank you for having me here with you tonight,
Yeah,
Elise.
thank you for joining me. I was slated to
Mhm.
be by myself. I couldn't have talked all this time without you. Thank you so much. It's always a gift and a blessing. Thank you all for everyone that joined us. And my hope is that if you have any thought about joining Walking in Core Strength, you will do it. We have classes run, several times Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, kind of morning, noon, and night.
Yeah.
And so really there's a good time for all of you. And any of the coaches would love for you to join them. So please join.
Let's just invite you ladies who are here with us to just give us one thing that you're gonna carry with you today that
Yes.
has been helpful for you to hear.
Right. Right. Yeah.
What's
Christina,
one
thank you.
thing?
Or
What's
so
one thing that we're here because we wanna see you walk away with a gem. What's
right,
a gem?
right. What's a gem that you heard tonight?
Yeah, and we
We're
just have
gonna
kind of a minute because I
be
think
frozen. We're gonna let it go, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but,
Well,
I know it's so much more serious than that, but maybe we can have a little fun in it and really maybe kinda see
absolutely.
that a little bit. "Oh, I'm gonna let it go," right? And so,
Oh, I
what
love that
it means
song. We
here
could have
are the
played that.
things that you might experience, the grief that you might have to step into, but get on the other side of, right?
Yeah,
You may never let go or not let go, but you may never move on from the grief that you've had to experience, but you absolutely can move forward. I am certain.
yeah.
So, yeah. Concern thought versus worry thoughts. Yeah, they heard you right.
Okay.
Yeah. Live in the
Well,
present.
thank you.
Thank you.
Alright. I think, we're
Me.
no longer live on, Instagram, so
Yeah.
thank you for putting your